My name is Sarah Rav, and I'm a study expert who has helped thousands of students get the best grades of their entire lives with the least amount of time studying. Today, I'm going to take you through the 5 most effective study techniques, or study hacks, as I like to call them. I am super excited about this video because whilst I would love, obviously, for you to watch all my videos, if I had to pick just one video for you to watch, it would be this one. Because I'm about to share the very best study tips that I know. And if you watch this video and use the tips that I'm about to share, you will be set for life, whether that's primary school, high school, uni, or even when you start work in the future. Number 1, active recall. This encompasses any technique that requires you to retrieve information from memory without consulting your notes. My favorite examples of active recall include flashcards, whether that's physical flashcards that you make or online like Anki or Quizlet, blurting, and application questions. I've done videos on both application and flashcards. So if you guys want to check those out so that you can get a really good understanding of how to use them, I will link them in the description below. I find that flashcards and blurting work really well for subjects where you have to memorize a lot of content. For example, biology, law, anatomy, physiology, and so on. Application questions are basically the best way to revise for exams for every type of subject, because no matter what subject it is, you will need to know how to apply your knowledge to do well on exams. Study hack number 2, the Feynman technique. This is a 4-step technique that will help you gain a very deep understanding of the topic that you choose. The steps are: number 1, decide on a topic and learn about it. Read through your notes, take your own notes, or however you choose to learn or prefer to learn. Step 2, once you've learned about the topic, try to teach the topic to a 12-year-old. If you don't have a 12-year-old on hand, don't worry. Anybody who has no idea about the topic and is completely new to the topic will suffice. This step will really highlight the areas that you don't fully understand about the topic. You'll have to cut out all jargon, meaning that you will have to be able to explain the topic in your own words. You'll also need to keep your explanations short and sweet because your student is unlikely going to want to listen to you ramble on for ages and ages, which means that you need to be able to summarize and you need to be able to know which parts of the topic are the most important to get across. Finally, you may need to use some analogies to help explain the topic to your student, and being able to use analogies and being able to come up with analogies further helps your understanding of the topic. Step 3, reflect on the teaching that you did and identify any gaps in your knowledge where you perhaps could have explained the topic a little bit better, or if there were any questions that your student asked that you couldn't really answer. Learn those areas and add what you learned to your notes. Finally, step 4, review your notes, simplify your presentation, and redo your presentation or your teaching until it is perfect. The Feynman technique is especially great for complex topics and complex subjects, or any subject that you truly want to master. Study hack number 3, SQ3R. This is a reading comprehension method, the letters of which stand for survey, question, read, recite, and review. And I would use this technique to get the most out of any resource that you are given in class, such as a textbook reading, articles, case studies, or texts that you have to analyze for English. So, survey. Briefly glance over or survey the text, including titles, headings, subheadings, graphs, diagrams, or any summaries given, to get a brief overview of what the text is about and to help decide on what you want to get out of the text or the goals for the text. Question. Starting with one section at a time, generate a bunch of questions that you think will be answered in that section based on what you surveyed. The more questions that you have and the more specific that your questions are, the better your comprehension will be. Read through each section at a time and answer the questions that you created in the step above. You may need to create more questions if you come across information in that section that you didn't have a question for or that doesn't fit under one of your questions perfectly. That's okay. Like I said, the more questions you have, the better. This step is so powerful because when you are actively searching for answers to questions, you become engaged in your learning rather than just passively reading through each section. Recite. Once you finish reading through a section and answering the questions, cover the answers or the section and go through the questions and see if you yourself can answer those questions from memory alone. If you struggle, that's fine. Read through the section again so that you remind yourself of the answer and then try to recite it from memory. Keep doing that until you can answer all the questions from memory alone without looking at the text. Only after you're able to answer all the questions from one section from memory alone should you then move on to the next session. Finally, review. Once you've finished all the sections, take a break, grab a snack, study another subject, scroll on TikTok, whatever, but then come back and try to answer the questions from the whole text, so all the sections, again from memory alone. Similarly, if you can't answer a question, that's fine. Again, look at the text, remind yourself, and then try to recite it from memory alone. Repeat until perfect. Study hack number 4, method of loci. This is a really cool, imaginative, and creative way to memorize a bulk load of information. So what you need to do is imagine yourself walking through a very familiar place or route. Example, your bedroom, your living room, or your daily walk to school. As you imagine yourself walking through this place, or you could even physically do it if you wanted to, make note of all the objects that you pass and the specific order in which you pass those objects in. Then assign each object a piece of information that you want to remember. Say, for example, you had to memorize the organelles of a cell and their function. And let's say we use our bedroom. Okay, so as I walk into my bedroom, the first thing I encounter is my door handle, which is round and it sort of looks like a ribosome, the site of protein synthesis. Next, I walk over to my bedroom lamp, which has to do with light, right? It creates light. What else has to do with light? Chloroplasts, the site of photosynthesis. Next is my bedside table. I store a lot of things in there, similar to how the Golgi apparatus stores substances in vesicles to be transported around the cell or secreted out of the cell. Finally, I come across my study table, which has a lot of important documents, similar to how the nucleus of the cell has the very important genetic material that governs the cell function, and so on and so on. I would use the method of loci for subjects where you have to memorize or rote learn a bunch of content, again, like biology, law, business, humanities, or even for memorizing a speech or for memorizing examples and quotes for English essays. I would not use it for skill-based or application-based subjects like math, chemistry, or physics because you're not really getting much practice of the skill itself, like solving a quadratic or balancing a chemical equation. Study hack number 5, and my personal favorite, study groups. Form a group with 3 to 4 other classmates and each week assign each other one topic that you will then go away and learn and then teach the rest of your classmates in your study group. This can be, you can teach it through, creating a presentation, telling a story, or, writing up some notes, however you want to teach it. Be creative and really put a lot of effort into it as if you were a teacher and you really want your students to do well, because the more effort you put into it, the better that you'll probably understand the topic as well. But not only should you teach your friends or your classmates the topic, you should also prepare each of you 3 to 4 practice questions on the topic that you studied, and then go around the group and combine all your questions together. This can be like on a piece of paper as like a real sort of practice test or exam, or on a Kahoot, which I love doing Kahoots. And then you guys get really competitive and you see who wants to win, like online quiz basically. The reason why you want to put these questions in is you want to test to see, 1, if your classmates were actually listening to you when you presented, and 2, 2, whether you explained it well or whether your understanding of the knowledge or your presentation skill needs a bit of work. Similar to study hack number 2 with the Feynman technique. The other thing that it will help is obviously for you to prepare for exams, because you know that your exams are going to have questions just like that. So it's a win-win all around. The thing is though, you need to pick classmates who are just as studious and disciplined as you. As much fun as it would be to pick your best friends, you and I both know that you're just going to end up sitting there for the whole session gossiping or sharing stories or watching TikToks together. If you need to, do what's good for you and pick classmates who are going to push you to focus. I think study group is really, really good for understanding complex topics, preparing for exams, and also staying social. And if you're getting really bored of conventional study techniques, and also if you're the sort of person who gets really overwhelmed or stressed if you don't understand something, because at least you'll have your classmates around to help explain it to you. So yeah, that brings me to the end of the 5 most effective study hacks of all time, in my opinion. I would love to know what your favorite is, whether it's one of the 5 that I've just mentioned, or if you have a completely different one entirely, let me know in the comments. But if you found that useful, please like and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching.